And I'm going to take a look at gold. I'm not going to pump this up and tell you that gold is going parabolic any day now. That's what the vast majority of gold analysts do. They are not at all interested in trying to give you sound analysis of the gold market. They're trying to get subscriptions. And the way you get subscriptions from emotional gold bugs is to tell them that any day gold is going to go parabolic. The cold hard truth is that the odds are very high that gold is in the declining phase of its 8-year cycle. Now this is going to be a very good thing. I'll tell you why here at the end of the video. But for right now, let's take a look at what's going on. So it's pretty clear this was an intermediate cycle low. This was the first daily cycle out of the intermediate cycle low. In a bull market, typically the first daily cycle will very often recover all of the intermediate losses. And that would have required gold to come up here and test this 1920-ish level. You can see it didn't do that. It didn't even break above this resistance zone right here at about 1835. And then it started down into its first daily cycle low. Also notice the pattern here. Every time gold tries to get above the 200-day moving average, there's usually a big attack, and then back down it goes. It's being pinned below this declining 200-day moving average. All right, so this is the advancing phase of the second daily cycle. We really needed to see gold make a higher high. And it doesn't appear that it's going to do it. As of this morning, gold is breaking the cycle uptrend line. We don't know how it's going to close yet, but I'd say the odds are pretty good the cartel is going to keep this pin below the 200-day moving average into the close this afternoon, and that's going to set gold up for more attacks Monday morning. So I'd say the odds are fairly high that this second daily cycle has topped, and it's starting down into the second daily cycle low. It's doing so without making a higher high, without breaking above this first daily cycle top. So the odds are pretty high that this intermediate cycle's rolled over. We're in the declining phase of the intermediate cycle. I don't think it's going to be a terribly destructive phase in that it may only give us a marginal break below this low, but it may take another complete daily cycle after this. So what could very well happen is we get a daily cycle low that comes down and just makes a marginally lower low below this first daily cycle low, and then starts back up again. And so gold bugs are hopeful that the slope of hope. That's what happens when you're in a bear market. And I think gold is in a cyclical bear market, not a secular, just a cyclical. It's just moving down into the 8-year cycle low. But I don't think the 8-year cycle low has any chance to even come close to moving below the previous 8-year cycle low. So gold is still in a long-term bull market. It's just in the declining phase of its 8-year cycle. So I think very good odds that we just make a slightly lower low and then rally again, and that's enough to keep people holding on and keep them hoping. They're going to listen to all the gold pumpers that are telling them gold is going to the moon, and so they'll hold all the way into the bottom of the ICL. So I suspect it's going to take a third daily cycle. So let me adjust these trend lines and give you an idea of what I think is probably going to play out. So maybe a slight break below this low. So just a lower low, but not enough to really get people, scare them and get them back on the sidelines. And then we get another rally. And so they keep holding on, they keep hoping. But this rally also doesn't make a higher high. It doesn't come above this top here. And then we go down and we get, actually, most of the time, the bottom comes right before the new year. So I'm going to say like the end of December is probably when we'll get it. And I'm going to say we'll have something that looks like this, where we get just a slight break of these lows, but not a big whoosh down, not something that really scares everybody off. They'll keep holding on, and then we'll get another intermediate rally that could last a month and a half, 2 months. But again, probably comes up short of taking out this intermediate high. And then we start this same grinding move back down next year in the spring and summer, and maybe we get our 8-year cycle low in the summer of 22. Maybe it comes in the fall of 22. So now, real quick, let me show you the big picture. All right, let me get rid of these. All right, so this was the 8-year cycle low back here in late 2015. I'm pretty sure this is the top of this 8-year cycle, and now we're in the declining phase, and we're in the handle of this massive cup and handle basing pattern. It's just that the handles are going to take longer than the gold bugs want it to. That's what this is amounting to. But it's not the end of the secular bull market. So even though we're in the declining phase of this 8-year cycle, it's not even going to get close to coming down and breaking this low. And that's the only thing that would negate this as a secular bull market. The 8-year cycle low would have to come and break below this 8-year cycle low. And it's just not going to do it. It's not even going to be close. But I do think we're going to have to continue to go sideways and slightly down enough to either allow this 200-week moving average more time to catch up to price, or we got to come down and tag it, and maybe even a marginal move below it, kind of like what happened right here. But so we just have more time that has to pass here before this 8-year cycle low is done. So you've got to quit listening to these people that are trying to scam you, that are telling you that gold is going parabolic any day now. It's not ready yet. We're in the declining phase of the 8-year cycle. It will be ready once the 8-year cycle low is done. During the next 8-year cycle, 5,000 gold is going to be a piece of cake. $150 silver is going to be a piece of cake during the next 8-year cycle. And probably $500 silver is not out of the question. So this is actually a very good thing. And again, I'll tell you why here in a second. And so here's the problem. The dollar is rallying out of its 3-year cycle low, and that is what is pressuring gold right now, along with multiple hits by the cartel. But this was a 3-year cycle low in the dollar. Here was another one back here. And you can see that the dollar is rallying out of that 3-year cycle low. I don't think there is any chance that the dollar comes up and takes out this high and negates the secular bear market that the dollar is in. Gold is in a secular bull market. The dollar is in a secular bear market. But each one of them are in a longer term counter trend move. So the dollar's in a counter trend rally coming out of this 3-year cycle low. And in the meantime, gold is in a counter trend cyclical bear market as it moves down into its 8-year cycle low. And these trends will probably continue until they're done. The dollar has to finish this rally out of the 3-year cycle low and then start the declining phase of the next 3-year cycle. And gold has to finish that move down into its 8-year cycle low. Now, here's the good news. During the next 6 months to a year, you are going to get a chance to accumulate more physical silver at cheaper prices. And for those people that can think logically and they're not emotionally driven, which unfortunately most gold bugs are, they're very short-term driven. They seek out analysts that tell them that the metals are going to the moon, and they take on too much leverage, and then they end up losing a lot of money listening to these people. But if you listen to me, you're going to get an opportunity to accumulate as much physical silver as possible. And for most people, especially if you're on an income, you're going to need time for that to play out. You you want to keep buying physical silver as much as you can over the next year as the metals work their way down into that final 8-year cycle low, and then you're going to be set up to make a lot of money during the next 8-year cycle, during the advancing phase of the next 8-year cycle. So even though the metals are almost certainly in the declining phase of their 8-year cycle, use it to your advantage. I'm going to say you've probably got a year to accumulate as much physical silver as you can. And then once that 8-year cycle low is done, hang on for dear life. Silver is going to at least 150 and maybe as high as $500 during that next advancing phase of the next 8-year cycle.